we need to go back in time a little bit. What is up, the people of the YouTuberverses? So, we are once again back at it. Back to recording from a phone. Long story. Camera's gone. But as you can see behind me, we are in the process of pulling the motor out again. It is finally time for this to go off to the body shop. So it's actually going off in the morning. It is currently, I think, like 10 o'clock at night right now. We're busy pulling the motor out so that we can get it to the body shop tomorrow morning, so that they can finally straighten the frame. I'm going to show you guys a small little clip of what has happened since the last video I created. I have put in 2 new head gaskets. Well, one or two? One, I don't know, can't remember. I think the last one we did, we put in the head gasket and then it wasn't running properly. Yeah, it's been quite a while. But yeah, so we put in the head gasket, it still wasn't running properly. Got it running for a while, then I ran it for about 4 days. On the 4th day, it decided that this is now its life, and it's, you know, it's one of these cars that only run for a week at max and then goes back to sleep. And yeah, we sat on the side of the road for about, I don't know, 5 hours, busy trying to resolve stuff. We managed to get it started and running again, only for us to drive down the road and the exact same problem to happen. So yeah, let me just quickly show you. So we went through and redid this entire section of the wiring loom. As you can see, it's looking all nice and pretty. Reason being was that it smelt like electrical issues. There was also this weird tick coming from the intake. Wasn't too sure what that was. It definitely was not the injectors. I know what injectors sound like. That was not injectors. So yeah, we sorted out all the wiring, and on my birthday I was like, I am going to drive this car. So I sorted out all the wiring, had fun with it, and I said, if it breaks today. And there goes another head gasket.
Rate your performance review.
3 out of 10. So as you can see, yeah, Carmen hit me with the, how would you rate that? And I think my performance was pretty good. All the way up until the point where it didn't run anymore. But yeah, so next up, we're just going to pull the motor out. I'm probably not going to show you guys this whole process. We're going to pull the motor out. I'll do a couple of clips tomorrow taking the car to the body shop. And then we will see when we get it back from there. This motor might be going
in the bin.
We still have to kind of figure out what we're going to do. But yeah, we're going to pull this motor out and get this thing off.
Early the next morning.
Okay, so here we go. Car is prepped, motor, everything is out. As you can see, there is the motor over there. All the parts out. Everything is ready to be transported. We got the flatbed coming now. We also threw all of the body panels inside the car. As you can see, this thing is massive, so all the body panels are inside the car, and it is going to go off now to the frame shop to go and get the frame straightened. They should fit all the panels back on because they need to check placements and all of those types of things. So yeah, we will check out what's going on there at the shop now.
Several months later.
So here she is, finally ready to be collected. We're going to pull out quickly, get on the flatbed, and then get us on the way. Okay, so there we have it. She is back at home finally. For those of you who don't know where it's been or what's been happening with it, firstly, welcome to the channel. And secondly, let's just quickly run through what all was actually done as soon as we figure out where the latch button has disappeared to. Couple sore fingers and removing that later, and we can now open her. Couldn't find anything else what wanted, so yeah, trust the old mop. But in any case, if we have a look over here, you can see all of the work that was done on the actual wheel well itself. So all of that was body filler before. If you actually look in here, you'll see that there's sandpaper and stuff still left over from where they were busy grinding out firstly the existing welds, all the body filler that was on here, and then also right up there. So as you can see there, we have quite a bit of work that was done. So the way that they had to go about was they had to essentially go in from the backside. So just under the actual wheel itself. I'll show you guys that in a second. But they essentially had to go and cut all of that out and then go in on that side, hammer everything straight. Well, pull it technically on the machine. They put it on a giant jig where things are heated up, pulled into position, let cool. Heated up, pulled into position, let cool. And this takes course of, I think this one took roughly 2.5 weeks. So it's quite a lengthy process that they went through. So just once again, big shout out to Millennium Panel Beaters. They have just been excellent in doing this. And yeah, let me quickly show you what the entire essentially repair looks like. So as I said before, if we look over there, we can see that all the heat spots and things like that were generated. You can see that they've pulled the actual strut tower straight. That's been pulled straight. And if you have a look, all of this is pin straight now. This used to actually be all the way kind of up here, and that was it down? I can't remember. All I know is it didn't come through the bumper as it's supposed to, and because of that, my bumper looked like my car had a stroke. If we go through here, you can see this had to be cut and re-welded. All of these spots had to be cut out. All of the spots needed to be ground out, and then they had to go through, straighten all of these panels, put them back on the car, and then pull the body straight because they need to use certain bolt holes as location guides. So the way this is actually done is we take the 3 strut tower bolts, the bonnet bolt holes, and then on the other side, and what they do is we have measurements from factory on what those cross dimensions are supposed to be. So they run from that side to this side, check what those dimensions are, and then from there to there to each pin, right, from one pin back there. Once they have all of those, they know that it's in line there. Then they go and do the cross checks on the front, use those bolt holes, cross check it against both the strut towers this way and then across back to the original location hole there at the back. Then if we move over here into the wheel well, I can show you what had to happen. It looks kind of dirty, but yeah, this was actually professionally done. This is essentially cut out because they couldn't straighten the frame with that piece still being in there because there was a kink on the inside. So this entire panel came off, they put it on the jig, hammered it from the inside as everything was heated up, and then had to essentially put all of those panels back on. So this all is may get replaced. We did go through and buy an entirely new front clip. Now, you see, I didn't know that this section was going to be repaired, right? So essentially what happened was I went through and I bought the new front clip. But when I took this through to them, I told them, listen, just get the chassis arm itself straightened out for me. Once the chassis arm is straight, then I will sort out the front clip and everything else. While the car was there off with these guys, I found a front clip for sale. Beautiful, picked it up. Still need to just go and pick it up. Well, paid for it. Busy waiting for me for collection. I went through and I paid for that. Next day they phoned me to tell me the car was done. When I went to go and look at it, alas, they had repaired the front clip essentially. Now, the reason they needed to do that is because, like I said earlier, they need measurements to come off different areas of the front clip itself. So now I have a repaired front clip, but I also have a new front clip that's not accident damaged. So the idea is, we're going to essentially be grateful for the fact that this is repaired, but I want all of this to be nice solid steel. I want this to all be clean. As you can see, we have creases and everything in the metal. I don't want that to happen. I don't want any of this looking essentially the way it does. So exactly where all of these are, we're going to cut along this edge, down there, along where the existing seam is. So there isn't going to be any structural integrity that will be damaged by us doing this. Essentially, this is a break on the existing side. If I show you on the other side, it is a little bit higher up, but as you can see, this one splits essentially here. On this side here,
there is actually a seam over here. They have just welded over it to create a little bit more rigidity in that structure. So it's going to essentially be lobbed off here along this edge, down through there, all the way down to the bottom, just above the frame rail, cut along there, and the same thing on that side. The entire front clip comes off, and we put the new front clip on. So the reason I want to actually do that is just to get a cleaner overall thing. We've got the structural damage repaired by professionals, just so you all know. Their work is certified, x-ray scanned, all of those types of things. So I have no doubt that this has been repaired 100% correctly. So once all of that gets replaced, we'll put the new front clip on. We will weld all of that in ourselves. We'll run a bead of seam sealer along the edge there and there, prep the entire engine bay for paint, and then we're off to the races. As you can see, the whole engine is kind of like a mess right now. They had to remove a bunch of wiring, they had to remove boosters, a whole bunch of stuff. So there is going to be a lot of work that's going to need to be done, and a lot of actual money that's going to need to be put into this. We need the new front clip, which is one thing. We need to get the entire engine bay prepped. We need to reroute all of our lines. We might do the ABS delete, seeing as the ABS wasn't initially working. So we'll either see if we're going to diagnose that and repair it, or just get rid of that entire unit, just because, oh my word, is it a pain to work in this car with that unit in place. We are going to be putting the air conditioning back in this car, because the 50 kgs, 30 kgs weight saving isn't worth it at the end of the day, especially when we live in a hot climate. As you guys can see, the sun is, wherever it is, over there, blasting hot. And then we also don't have, the heat core is there, but we not sure if it actually works. Never actually tested that heat core. So I'm worried that I'm going to connect it and there's just going to be leaking all the way in my footwell. So if you don't have a heater, you need to be running an air conditioner. And the reason for that is, if it starts raining, your window's messed up. If you can't cool it, if you can't get it, that condensation away with heat, you need the coldness from the aircon to do that. So just for anyone building a car out there, take note of that. If you don't have an aircon, make sure you have heat. If you don't have heat, make sure you have an aircon. So even though I don't use air conditioners on a daily basis, I drive with windows open. That's just the way I like to drive. Either way, you need one or the other. So just keep that in mind if you are building or changing anything on your project car. Next up is the update on this guy. As you guys may have noticed, it is not in the car, right? Now, the reason being is, firstly, I needed to get it out so that they could pull the chassis and everything straight. And then secondly, why it's actually out of the car right now, twofold, is we needed to actually do a little bit of work on this thing. Last video, the car wasn't running. So 30th of April came around, my birthday, and I was like, today I am going to drive my car, right? I got everything up and running again. After she was driving last time, there was a little bit of a miss. It sounded like an electrical issue. We could smell electrical. It smelled like an electrical fire, but we couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. So I went through and redid the entire coil wiring loom and got her running again. Once that was good, right? That was after the whole head gasket replacement and everything. Once that was good, it was my birthday. I said, I'm going to get this car driving, and I am going to enjoy it for the day. But about 20-30 minutes later, is no bueno. Head gasket decided to leave the chat. So with all of that being said, we also now need to do a little bit of engine work. So here's what's going to happen. I know what we did wrong, right? When the head and everything was removed, entirely my fault, I did not take the head and block to go and get skimmed. Now, the reason I didn't take that and block to go and get skimmed was, my theory was, came off a running car. Car was running. Everything should be good. So I took it for granted that the head was straight. Blew first head gasket. I took that as the fact that there was rust in the engine. It made sense when we looked at the head gasket. We could see the corrosion that had occurred there. So I put that down to us not putting antifreeze in the car. So that was the second head gasket. Then, because obviously we did it when we did the stock one, then it blew, put the next one on, and then, yeah, now that's blown. Well, technically we broke the second, we broke the second one, putting it on, we had to put on a third. But in any case, I did see pitting when I went to go and put the head gasket on. I did try and level it off. Apparently it didn't work. as expected. So what will be happening this time around is we're going to be taking it off to a machine shop. We'll probably take it to Cylinder Head Exchange. We'll send it off to them. They'll get the head and block both skimmed. Now, the reason we want the head and block both skimmed, and I'm going to tell them my purpose for it, is we want to put the multi-layer steel Cometic head gasket on this car. And the reason for that is just for reliability sake, right? So we're going to be putting on the Cometic multi-layer steel head gasket, and then we may as well run ARPs at the same time. We want reliability on this car at the end of the day. I do want to drive it, and I do not want it to just constantly be braking. So we need to jump in there. We need to try and figure out what the cause was. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the cause for it was the fact that we didn't get the head and block skimmed. So once all of that's done, we can get everything back together, and we can try and diagnose everything. If we find that the motor is just toast and it doesn't want to be with us anymore, we'll accept that fact, and there are other plans that we can go down. Naturally, all of this is going to take a little bit of time, so I do appreciate you guys' patience. I know this video has taken a really long time to get to where it is, but I just thought I'd give you guys a quick update and kind of guide on where we're going with this, and hopefully you guys understand. Yeah, I'll start to try and make additional content. We're going to be doing some CV joint replacements on the Taz. We're going to start working on the Honda also a little bit more. But once again, I am just a normal guy. I work in a normal job. Not much money for building cars all the time. So please understand that. So if there is a delay between things, I will try to make other content in the meantime. But yeah, as always, thank you all for watching. Love you, much. Bye. Enjoy the rest of the day. That wasn't even the way I end the video. Love you, much. Bye.